Hello to everybody. To those who don't know me, I'm Jacob. I lead our customer success department, and I'll be your host for today's webinar, Streamlining Fabrication in SignAgent. The great thing about this is it could help resolve so many issues pre, during, and post-fabrication, saving you a lot of time and money managing projects. So keep this in mind as we go through today's webinar. Now to introduce our presenter, David Jorritsma is the president of SignAgent, and he has more than 20 years of experience in the signage and wayfinding industry. David has helped hundreds of firms simplify the way they work with SignAgent and the SignAgent mobile app. SignAgent allows you to easily and effectively collaborate between designers, fabricators, installers, end users, and facility managers for every step of any signage project. So we hope that everyone should be able to take something of value out of the webinar today. Now, I'll hand things over to David, who will take us through streamlining fabrication in SignAgent.
All right. Yeah, so as I was saying, thank you, Jacob, for that introduction. Yeah, this is the first webinar that we've done focusing primarily on fabrication. My background is in EGD, naturally, we've been building solutions that EGD designers work with and sort of want to use. And as SignAgent has evolved into a system that is for managing the entire process and collaborating, like in the last webinar talking about collaboration, it naturally extends to the full life cycle, including fabrication and fabricators. So this is our first attempt at showing features from the point of view of the fabricator. And yeah, I'm excited to show you that. Definitely looking for feedback on what we're showing here. But yeah, so what I wanted to just start off with is, just for the quick agenda, is I want to sort of address the common objections up until now, talk a bit about the collaboration, do a takeoff, a quick takeoff, talk about Braille and some of the obstacles there, and then about artwork creation, preparation, and then answer any questions that Jesse sort of wants me to address, or and then just have open Q&A type thing. So yeah, so the common objections that we've had over the course of SignAgent being, it's actually, we just passed our third year anniversary of it being online. It's been, well, as a fabricator, you know, I'll use SignAgent if the designer uses it. And then the questions are like, is it worth using SignAgent if the designer doesn't use it? And then some designers have said, well, oh, the fabricator will never use this. There's too much technology, or they're afraid of iPads or iPhones, which I personally don't believe in. And then the other side of that is the fabricator saying, well, I can do it better on paper or pencil, or faster. I don't think they would say better, but maybe faster. And then the other is like, well, we have Sign software that does that already, so why should I use SignAgent? So those are the sort of things that I'm gonna try and overcome during this webinar. And yeah, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is the collaboration. So in the previous webinar, we talked about Alex, the designer, and then Jen, the manager, Tom, the fabricator, and then Melissa, the installer. So today's, and previously it was just like, well, we wanted all these people to talk together so that when one person does one thing, the other person knows, so they're not having to create additional documentation and the likes. So, but for this webinar, we want to just focus on the fabricator and the installer, as mentioned before. So Tom's view as an administrator. So as a fabricator, you can certainly be an administrator. And this is when you decide to take on, say, a larger role than just being responsible for one of these states, right? So you could actually go in and create additional workflows such as, artwork preparation, then cutting. So you're preparing the files, then you're painting, or you're doing vinyl. And then you're doing letters and Braille, and then you're assembling it, and then you're packing it, and then shipping it, and then installing it. So you can extend these processes, and as the signs move through those workflows, you'll be able to inform the designer to see where things are at, as well as inform the client. And then you can always keep track of timelines and such through that as well. And then, so Tom's view as a fabricator, they would basically see, this and that. So which is the previous part of it. And then the installer, it goes back to seeing that one state. So throughout that entire process, you're able to include different people at different spots through those states. And so Melissa here, she's the installer, and what she sees is just the signs that are to be installed. And so you can see here that, yeah, there's just the installation section. And then she would be able to go on the mobile and see that as well. And then here's just a quick view of a mobile device where she's actually able to collect the information. So she's tapping the level, she's zooming in on the plan, and then she is seeing, and this is actually from the previous webinar, I sort of just spliced it out. She's seeing the message, she's seeing the artwork, she's seeing the previous photo. She can say, okay, I want to take a photo of my sign installed. And then she marks it as done, and then, or she selects it and then marks it as installed, synchronizes it, and all that information then is completely updated into the cloud. And so that's one sign, but with this, there could have been many levels. And even going back to the previous states of cutting, in the shop, you would actually have people that would be able to use mobile devices as well to mark signs as being, cut or vinyl applied, and sort of do these same steps. And actually, rather than taking the photo of the sign installed on the wall, they could take the photos of the signs that are cut in place, kind of thing. So next, we're going to move on to a takeoff demo. So for that, I'm going to go to an additional, or to my document here, which I have set up. This is that project, and it has, I have the workflow already set up for this project. And then I have my levels uploaded already with a sign type. To upload new levels, I can actually just go to batch import, and then I can drag and drop PDFs into here. And then when I do that, if it's a one-page PDF with 20 plans, it'll create 20 pages here, and then there'll be an import button. I think it's over here, and you just say add, and then the locations will then appear in the locations section here. So for this, I just want to be able to show you quickly how I can do takeoff. And what we've done recently is in seeing people use SignAgent, we noticed that people aren't able to, they were having issues with creating signs and adding them sort of here and then having to specify them here. So what I want to do, what we wanted to do is just make it easy for the person to add them. So I can just right click here. And then if I don't see the sign that I'm looking for, I can still add it to the project. So here, I'm just going to say this is for design. And then when I come in here, if I don't have a sign here, I can make up my own sign code. So I say A2, and then you see that I get that new icon there. And then I can, if I do a dash, and then I say room ID, what it does is I save that. And then what it will do is it adds a sign to the sign types here. And then I can always just move this into this spot. But you see how it added that sign quickly. And then I can just keep quickly either rotating the plan or rotating the sign so that I'm getting this spot here. But then you can see, and at this point, I'm not concerned about the actual messages because, you know, we're just trying to get a ballpark price here. So it gets quite easy. And I can even say, well, you know what, I'm not even concerned about the position of the sign. So I can just say, well, there's going to be one here, and I'm not even going to worry about how I spin the marker, because that, again, just takes more time. Then I can just save that. And then again, I'll say there's going to be one here, you know, one here, one there, one there. And again, I'm just right clicking and then doing a Command S for saving it. So I'm right clicking here, Command S there. And these are all just room IDs that I'm adding. And I'm quickly just going through and going through. And then as I'm doing this, you know, I can even say, well, I don't want to get too close to the other one here, or I can just still right click and just go like that. So this is pretty therapeutic for me. You know, I like doing this type of stuff, but I could keep going and going and going here, but really, we want to sort of show other things. So I'll go in and I'll say, okay, well, where's our directional signs going to be? And so here I'll just right click and say, there's gonna be a sign there. I'll say because it's a directional ID, I'll do something like that. And then again, save it. So now as I'm doing this, I can just go through and say, well, there's gonna be one here, save it. And then sort of go through, and I'll just do a couple more just so we're getting some decent numbers here. But you can see how quick this is going. And then what I can do here is once I got this all done, I'll just drag this in here too. And then I'm gonna right click to edit this. And in my sign type, I can put in unit costs so that I can say, well, each one of these these directionals are gonna be $200 each. And then I can come in here and I can edit this one. We'll say these ones are gonna be, I don't know, $50 each. And then from there, as I'm doing this, I can then sort of look at this project, and in my overview, I can see quickly in my overview, I can see a dashboard. So it's showing me historical information, and then showing, okay, well, February the 8th, I've got, here, basically, I've got, you know, $1,700 worth of signs, and I hadn't set a budget for this project as of yet. So I can actually come in here and right click this to edit. And then under the budget tab, I can say, you know, we have, maybe there's $10,000 on the budget for this project. Okay. So in the case of where there's location plans that have the same plans. So let's say that, like, well, for instance, actually, this is actually the same plan. Level 1 is the same plan as level 2 in this, because it's literally the same one, but they're normally different. But for this case, I'm just going to make them the same. what we can do is we can actually just go ahead and select all of this information. And then I can either, if I didn't want to go and sort of make a copy of this, we can sort of trick the budgeting system just by saying, well, you know, level 1 and level 2 are the same. So without me going through and sort of reinventing the wheel, and by like copying them up, because if you make a change to one, then you have to go up and change the other. If we're just trying to get a quick takeoff informational stuff before we get awarded the job, you know, we can just change this quantity to 2. And then if I save this, and actually I'll just save it. I mean, I guess it doesn't really make a difference. I can save this quantity 2, and then coming back to my collaboration project, I can review this, and now you see that, you know, my numbers jumped by 2, right? And now I have a budget of 10,000, so I'm showing how, you know, how far along I am in this budget. And then, so from there, I can always also do the other part, which I was mentioning, is that I can go to here and I could select all of these, and then I could clone the signs and then move them up to the 2nd floor. So for that option, I'll just put these back to 1. And then I will go in here and I will clone them. So now it's going to make a copy of those 22 signs. And then we're going to get a whole whack of new signs that show up in this list. And you can see that it's copying or working right now by the spinning wheel. So now I've got, 22 signs here. And what I've done here is that we've actually created this, it puts in cloned. And the reason we picked cloned is because it actually copies the signs right on top of the other ones. And this way you can actually, if you unselect the plan here, I can easily go in and say, okay, well, which one is this one? I can just come in here and look, and I'll still see the ones that I haven't basically processed yet. And then I can shift select here, which again now selects those 22 cloned ones. And I can just now move those all to level 2 and then mark, and I'll say, we want to remove the clone now because I'm now moving it up to level 2. And then what it does is it will go and it will go and reflow, or it'll move them up to level 2. And so now we have level 1 and level 2, and they're going to look literally identical because they are identical. And then if I go back to my that's interesting. They might, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where they went. It's probably something hidden or something like that, but they're there. So we'll move on. But if you do have something like this, send an email to support@signagent.com and we'll be able to help you resolve that as well. And that would be under support and or feedback. And then just let us know that that happened, and we'll resolve that for you right away. So but in either case, this now the overview still shows the 34 and the 34. Okay. Yeah, so that's let's see here. Yeah, and then on top of that, I can always just export PDF message schedules and Excel sign estimate counts as well. And again, this is like, we're not getting into any of the, this is intended to be as a quick and you know, painless solution as possible. So we're not spending more time than we need to without knowing that we've been awarded this job. Okay, and that's the takeoffs. So moving on, wanted to, I'll go back to this and we'll just move it on to artwork creation. Yeah, so for here, I'm going to mention artwork creation a little bit and probably go into show the original template of this, the artwork preparation. But for more information on artwork creation and the templating side of things, you can check out Artwork 101 and Artwork 201, those webinars. So for artwork preparation, what we're going to do is I will go back and do another demo. And for that, what we're going to do is I'm going to go over to my starter project. And what I've done, and so just a quick reminder for people who aren't aware of how the templates work. In Illustrator, we have the ability to, just close this one here. We have the ability to, well, we draw the templates in Illustrator, and then we export the Illustrator files as SVGs, and then we upload those to the website, and then the website generates the artwork for the signs throughout the entire process. So I'm not having to draw, you know, 55 of these signs. I draw one sign, and then SignAgent draws the other 55 based on those templates. So that's it at sort of an overview. In here, you can see that we've got, I've created this sign with a structure. And the purpose for that is that we can, and you'll see in the artwork preparation. So, and I guess when I'm saying artwork preparation, I'm referring to, you know, making the artwork ready for fabrication. Okay, so it's taking the signs that are being generated in SignAgent online and creating those and prepping those for like mass fabrication. So we've got these layers, and I'll come back to this and explain that a little bit in the future, but you can see here that there is a layer structure, and we have panel ones and Braille and then tactile and then the field names and the likes here. So this can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. And then, so yeah, we need to first of all get the files from, so, well, first I would export this as a SVG, and then I would come into here and I would come to this room ID and I'll edit it. And then I would go to the template file and I would upload the template file, but because I've already done that, I don't need to do that. And then I would come in here and I'm going to isolate all of the signs that I want to export. Okay, so using my filters, I can go in and say, I want to export all these signs. So I've just turned all of them on, but I could hide these ones that are in installation, because really, I really just want to focus on the ones that are in fabrication. So they got these 66 signs. You can click on them, and you know, there's the message, there's the Braille translation, and the artwork that's being inherited. But then, so I have now 66 signs. So then to get this out of here, you would be able to mark the sign. You basically filter the signs out, and then whatever's in this sidebar here, when you export, you can either go to the wrench and export, or you can go to the organization and export. But from there, I can say, okay, I want to export artwork as SVGs, and then I can choose to outline the text if I want to, which means it'll convert it to curves, and then I won't sort of have to deal with the fonts. But in this case, I actually want to deal with the fonts. So then I would hit export. I'm not going to hit export right now because I prepared the export already. But once you hit export, and if you click off send me an email, you'll get an email notification right away saying that that is available for you to export. And then when that does, you can click on the link and it'll download the zip file, which then you can then open. And I'm not going to download it right now because if I go to my reports, there's some confidential projects in there that I shouldn't show. So from there, I would retrieve it from my reports folder, which is either here or from the email. In this case, I will just go to where I downloaded it. And actually, I don't even need to do that. I will go into here and I'm going to pull up our new artwork preparation extension. So this is going to be an extension that is available for our SignAgent users. So when I come in here and I click, so when I come in and sort of open this, there's now an extension, as I mentioned, but it's saying, prepare signs for fabrication. So the whole purpose of, I guess, what I'm trying to do here is I want to get it so that I want to up my signs on a sheet or sheets of like large substrates so that I can run them through CNC machines and sort of prep them in mass scales. Okay, so I want to choose my signs or my folder for where the signs are, and then I just want to make sure that this is the right spot, and then I say, okay, yeah, here's the folder that I want to prepare, and these are all the signs that I exported already out of it. So you can see the A2, 1 and 041, that corresponds to the name of the sign in SignAgent. And then there's the address date that it was generated on. And this last number is actually the number of the sign. When I click on it here, you can see this number right here. So this is actually the unique serial number for SignAgent. So if you ever have to go back and fix a sign from here, you can just type in those numbers. And if you have permission to see that, it'll show up in your web browser there. So that's a bit of a tip there for you. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I want to open this project, or I want to create the files from here. And what it does then is it says, okay, well, it looks at it and says, okay, I'm going to create an artboard, and the artboard is a certain size by certain size based on the margins and the spacing. And then if I look at this preview information down here, I have 69 signs that are in that folder of a dimension of 5.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So this would give me 69 artboards that are a 1x1 grid, right? So because I guess we're not going to be able to fit more than one artboard or one sign per artboard, right? So then I can say, well, the sheet I actually want to make this, I want to prepare this for it's 24 wide. And then you can see that the artboard number jumps and it says, okay, well, you can get 3x1 signs on that artboard. And then I know my sheets that fit the CNC machine are 24 by 48. So now that's going to get it down to 3 artboards, and I'm going to be able to get 3x8. And then I can look and come in here and say, okay, well, I want to adjust my margins. And then I'm going to say, if I put this to 2, I'm still getting the same amount here. And then my spacing between signs. So depending on the level of how you set things up to cut, you can adjust that as well. And I'm just going to, I'll just leave it at, I'll leave it at that. And I'm going to just put this back to 1 here. And then I go ahead and hit create. And then from there, what SignAgent does is it looks at it and it basically goes through and it's going to create those 3 artboards. And then it drops the signs that were created in SignAgent one after another, and it ups them on the pages for you. So you don't have to go in and sort of prep each one or recreate and retype all these messages and make spelling mistakes or take you know, an export from an Excel file that you would have received from SignAgent. I knew that was going to happen. Sorry about that. So it's going to go through and it's prepping all of this for me. And now it's actually going through and it's redoing that whole layer structure in the background. So that previous layer structure that I showed you, it's now making sure that that layer structure is all built into it. So, but before, yeah, you don't have to go in and, you know, take an Excel, a tab file or an Excel file and put it into a mail merge type sign application anymore. We can process the data that's being done right in SignAgent right in here. And so once this is all done now, we're getting live Illustrator files, and you can see that it's creating artboards for each sign type, as well as artboards for the overall big boards here, okay? And then we have this layer structure, which if I minimize those, you can see that I now have that preview panel 1 and panel 2. If I go back to here, I have those same panels and the same previews, right? So from here, if I wanted to focus on all of my, and so we're actually done with this now, so I'll close this down. And then I can now say, okay, well, you know, I need to get the position of all my Braille dots. So from there, I can basically turn off all the other panels. And then if I do a Command Y to show that structure, there's all the center points for all of the Braille dots. So when I run the CNC to drill the holes, it knows where it's done, and it can do, you know, it can do all of those signs. It can do 69 spots all up at the same time. And then again, it's same for the tactile. So if I want my tactile text, the way that these were designed, I don't have to, I can use actually more than one field if it was to be tactile. But in this case, there's only one room number being tactile. But if there was another field that we wanted to be tactile as well, we could sort of move those together into the same layer structure as well. And then the paint colors, those can all be done as well. So some pretty powerful lifting here that's being done. And then yeah, the same for the panel, for the room names as well. So, oh yeah, so kerning. So previously, you know, well actually when this was drawn originally in SignAgent, we had to, when you set it up, you sort of draw it with a 0 kern. Well, in that final preparation now, what you can do is you'll notice that this is actually live and this is live data. So what you can do is go through and do that last little kerning cleanup. And again, I can, you know, very easily just go in here and select it's actually the room name. So I'm now selecting all of those. And if I do my Command T, I can change it from an auto to an optical. And then that fixes all of those kernings, but you could also go in and do a much more granular approach if you so chose. And then, yeah, and I guess the same would go for the Braille. We wouldn't want to do an optical kern on, but the same for the, yeah, same for the room number. Okay, so then I could basically save that, and that's good to go. And then from there, the last thing that I want to show as part of this process, and again, actually, if I got this wrong at like with the spacing, it's like no problem. I can just rerun the script, and the amount of time that it took, you know, it makes it really easy to just clean that up as well. So what I wanted to show is the color replacement option in Illustrator, which is sort of, I'm not taking credit for this, but you'll see here that this color that we have here is just a hexadecimal color. But if in here, and I guess the text that's here, this was actually drawn again with a hexadecimal color. But with Illustrator, and when I actually drew it here, though, it was drawn with a I should have had this changed to, but it's actually, I think it's the same color or very close. Well, the colors that were chosen, those other colors that were chosen, they are actually PMS colors. So when I select this, I can actually do this recolor artwork function. And in here, what it does is it basically selects all the colors that are being used, and then it gives you the current colors. And then from here, I can say, well, the things that I want to replace it with, I want it to choose from a color book, and I want it to be Pantone plus solid coded. And then from there, it's gonna give me that option. And now when I double click on this, you'll see that it now picks that Pantone color that I originally had it set at. And if I went through the rest of them, they would all be at those Pantone colors. So not only would this work for Pantone colors, but if you're using specific colors for feeding it in to, you know, feeding sections or layers, or sorry, not using layers, but rather using colors to distinguish between what the CNC machines use or not, you can have those predefined swatch layers set up in Illustrator, and then match those colors as well, how I'm doing this. So once I'm done here, I now have a fully up-to-date color swatches here. So now when I come in here, where's my colors? Window, swatches. There we go. So now it's matching those colors right there. So the Pantone, the different Pantone colors. Okay, so yeah, thanks for listening for this. We are looking for some early adopters and testers of this, you know, of the script here. So I'll go back to this. We just want to make sure that, you know, we have gotten some preliminary feedback on it, but we wouldn't mind a little bit more of it to see if it's meeting what you guys need. And yeah, so we'd be, if after this webinar, if you want to send us an email and just say, hey, you know, we'd love to test this out. I think it's amazing, but there may be certain things that we're looking over that could put it even to a, you know, even higher level. So the next thing what I wanted to do is just quickly talk about the Braille. So the Braille issue that we've had in the past was that we were getting these sort of leading commas when text was capitalized, or if you're putting your text in as uppercase and typing it in uppercase, then you'd get the lowercase, you'd get the comma starting at the middle of before the Braille translation. So we have resolved that issue. We now are we now have a new Braille font. So when you come in, or new Braille language. So now when you come in, you will have a new language, and oh, I don't have, maybe this one here. Let's see if I had a Braille in here, which I don't know if I did. Oh yes, I did have Braille, perfect. So in here we have Braille, and then so when you click on the Braille that you had previously, when you come in here, it's going to, basically, you're gonna see that it's deprecated, and then when you click on update, what it's gonna do is it's gonna choose the new revised Braille language, and that language actually evaluates as lowercase, which removes the comma, which is an issue with the ADA Braille, because we're not shouting in uppercase for, you know, if this was a story and we're trying to emphasize something, it's like we're using uppercase text because it's meant for tactile consistency. Yeah, so we've resolved that issue. And then the part 2 of that, so I'm going to leave this as unupdated, but you would just hit update and then it would resolve and fix all the translations that you did. Yeah, so this one's fine. So then the other part, what we did is that there's a lot of Braille fonts around, and a lot of them are pretty spotty and inconsistent at best. And so for that, we've actually developed our own custom font for SignAgent that is specified to the ADA standards. So the distances between the cells and the spacings between the adjacent, and you know, all those different functions, and it's all built into it. So it's specifically for the signage and for the ADA standards. And then there's also a California version of the Braille as well. And so we will be making that available to our clients for use. And eventually I would love to see that, so that the fonts actually come pre-installed in here, so that you don't actually have to download, or you would have to download it to specify it in Illustrator, but you wouldn't have to upload it to the different projects that you're working on. So so that puts us at about 15 minutes remaining. So I think we can probably use the rest of that time for Q&A. So let me just make sure that I finished everything in my thing here before so yeah, we're looking for volunteers to test that. I talked about the Braille. Yeah, okay. Do we have any questions?
So I think I was able to answer most of them as they came in. If anyone was unhappy with my answers, they can ask them again. But I guess the most recent one just came in, so you can start there.
All right, so let me, all right, how do I chat here? Okay, so yeah, when will the Braille be available? Yeah, so there's very soon. The one thing that we're doing now is we are just making sure that we've got all of the different possible sort of scenarios down, making sure that we're measuring twice and cutting once. So we don't want to issue one thing where then all of a sudden we have to do a recall on it and then have it come back. So the answer is soon, and yeah, I guess that is a relative term, but it will be, yeah, when it is available, we'll make sure that we get that out. Yeah, there's just a few things. We would just have to make sure that all the characters are matching up properly and testing it and really running it through the gauntlet, but it's looking good. I'm not sure about Mohammed's question about the installation team. I'm not sure what that means. Was there maybe something further up in that? So
there was not.
Okay, so Adam, is there a way to easily go the other direction with art from screen capture back to the program to display on the plan. So, so you can upload PDF artwork to it as well. So if you draw the sign in Illustrator without a template, and if you save it as a PDF, you can just upload that without any text or anything being in there, and then you just upload that, yeah. And I think that's what Jesse just said as well. Okay, well, yeah, if there's not any other questions, you guys are, yeah, feel free to go, or if you want to stick around and chat or whatever, but we got 10 minutes. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate all of you coming. I don't know what was the highest number we had here. I think we may have broken a record. So go Fabricators.